am. Conker the king. King of all the land. Who'd have thought that? But how did I come to this, I hear you say? And who are those strange fellows that surround my throne? I hear you also say. Well, it's a long story. Come closer, and I'll tell you. It all started yesterday. What a day that was. It's what I call a bad fur day.
Chances are, if at any point you owned a Nintendo 64 system and were over the age of 17, one of the games that found its way into your collection was Conker's Bad Fur Day. Rare's decided to remake Conker's Bad Fur Day for the Xbox. The single-player game here has remained pretty much intact. There's a few changes here and whatever, but for the most part, it's Conker's Bad Fur Day. However, Rare has also thrown in this multiplayer component to the game, where you sort of like go into these 8 versus 8 shooter battles that are kind of, you know, they take some getting used to, aren't necessarily what you might expect from a multiplayer game of this type, but on both ends of the spectrum, the single player and the multiplayer, are quite a bit of fun, and you're likely to enjoy both. The single player mode works, especially if you never bothered to play Bad Fur Day on the N64. If you did play it on the 64, chances are, you know, some of the gags, they might wear a little bit thin considering you've already experienced them. So the same dialogue, same gags, same movie spoofs. And for the most part, it's pretty funny, but there are some, like some of the movie stuff with The Matrix and Saving Private Ryan, that were more topical, you know, 5 years ago when that game came out. Now it's just sort of like kind of well-worn territory. The actual gameplay, though, holds up reasonably well. It is an older platformer. It feels a little bit archaic in certain areas, mainly with like the camera and some of the control stuff. But the puzzle solving, the sort of the basic mechanics of jumping around, and some of the context-sensitive action, which was actually, Conker was one of the first games to sort of use context-sensitive action the way that it did, with just sort of like, you know, you go over these pads, press a button, and you do any number of different things. And it still holds up well in this case. And, you know, overall, it's still a funny and kind of wacky adventure. The multiplayer is also pretty fun, though it takes basically there are a few qualifications you kind of have to jump over to in order to like actually get to enjoy the multiplayer. It's an 8 versus 8, sort of like deathmatch, objective-based missions, that kind of stuff, where it sort of takes the third-person shooting aspects of the Conker single-player campaign and kind of turns them into this multiplayer extravaganza. When you've got an actual, like, you know, a big group of people together and you're playing the multiplayer, it can be quite fun. When you don't have a lot of people, it's not much fun at all, because the maps just feel kind of vacant, there's not a whole lot there. It sort of needs the constant action going on in the background to really make it work. Once you get past some of the control wonkiness and some of the balance issues, though, and you get into like a real good multiplayer match, it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's fun stuff. First and foremost, this is a game for people who have not played the original Conker. As a remake, it's very good, it's very competent, it fixes a few little things, it cuts out some of the really frustrating stuff, and by no means are you missing anything by that stuff being cut. This is, generally speaking, the better version of the game. With that said, if you're just going into this wanting to play the single player experience and you've already played the original Conker's Bad Fur Day, this might not be so much for you. However, you know, if you are sort of like open to the idea of this multiplayer mode that Rare has created, then, you know, you should give it a shot anyway, even if you don't touch the single player mode, because, you know, it's worth checking out. It might hook you in real bad. And by bad, I mean good. Conker is, overall, it's a very fun game. It's, you know, it is a remake. It does come encumbered with that sort of remake tag, but at the same time, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who've never played Conker's Bad Fur Day on the N64, and this is a perfect opportunity for them to do so.